Corps onto that single spot in under 3 minutes. It was a level of synchronization the world had never seen. German veterans who had fought in the harshest conditions of the Russian front later remarked that the American artillery seemed to have a supernatural ability to find them in the dark. This wasn't magic, and it wasn't just luck. It was the result of two obscure American majors, Carlos Brewer and Orlando Ward, who had spent the 1930s at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, obsessing over math. They had figured out how to turn a group of individual artillery batteries into a single, unified weapon. At the time, their ideas were dismissed as too complex for real war. But in the frozen forests of the Ardennes, their complex math became the primary reason the American line didn't break. The German military tradition relied on mission command, where officers were trained to act independently when communication failed. It was a brilliant system for a chaotic battlefield, but the American system was built on the idea that communication shouldn't fail. By providing FM radios down to the platoon level, the U.S. Army created a web of information that was more resilient than the German tradition of individual initiative. As the battle raged, the Germans found themselves in a data desert. Their phone lines were cut by shells, and their radios were failing in the storm. They were moving blindly into a wall of coordinated resistance. On the other side, American sergeants and lieutenants were talking to each other, sharing information, and shifting their forces in real time to meet every new threat. The fog didn't level the playing field. It highlighted the massive gap in communication technology. By the time the fog finally lifted a week later, the German offensive was already dying. The secret weapon of weather had failed because it encountered a system that didn't care about the weather. The elite SS divisions had beaten themselves into exhaustion against ridges held by small groups of soldiers who refused to lose contact with their headquarters. The German timetable was in ruins, and the Allied air power was finally returning to finish the job. Lyle Buch's story didn't end on that ridge. After 10 hours of fighting, his platoon finally ran out of ammunition. They were captured and spent the rest of the war in a prisoner of war camp. For 37 years, Buch lived with the quiet weight of believing he had failed his mission. He thought he had let the Germans through. He didn't know that his stand at Lanzarote was one of the most critical delays in military history. It wasn't until the